pink pen. I'm using a pink pen.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev. Bev has a pink pen.
Well, I just want to say that because it matches your shirt, so your sweater. That's a good way to start out the video.
There you go.
And what does pink represent? It represents the heart,
The heart.
right? Pink and green.
Yes,
So
indeed.
there we go.
I actually was gonna wear a red one, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna do pink. So we just
Nice.
gravitate towards colors. I have tried over and over and over to get my clothes ready for the next day prior to, like, the day before. Get my clothes ready for the next day.
Yeah.
No, because my mood is different or my energy is different. And so then when I walk into the closet and I look at what I picked out for the day, it doesn't resonate. And so then I change the whole outfit. So
The power of now.
yeah, really. So, it's the only thing I will say, I'll give it this. The only thing I say where it did work was when I was getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to the gym, and I would lay my clothes out so I could just get out of bed and get dressed right now. And that was helpful. But to pick out an outfit for the next day usually doesn't work well for me.
Yeah.
The other day I picked out 3 outfits. I had an event to do. And so I picked out 3 different outfits, had them hanging there, and I could have mixed and matched them. Got in my closet that morning, put them all away, and picked something out completely different. So it's just like, yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah, so those things that could save us time. I know, like, I think it was, it's a billionaire. I can't think of his name right now. I want to say it was Steve Jobs. I'm not sure, but he had several of the same shirts, same pants, same shoes, like everything, and he didn't have to think about it when he got dressed. He'd just go in, pick out his. It's the same thing every day, so you didn't have to think about it. And there are some days I kind of wish I could do that.
Well, and I kind of do the same thing that you do. It's like I can't prepare the day before. I mean, unless I'm going to a big thing, then maybe I might wear that dress or whatever. I might have planned that dress the whole time, but typically no,
Yeah.
because it's like you said, you're in a different energy. And
Yep.
so you might be attracted to certain colors and I'll walk into the closet and it's like my eye will just like pinpoint onto something for that day what I'm gonna go ahead and dress for. So it's I can't prepare for that either because it is more an in the moment thing.
Trial and tribulations of adulting.
Yeah.
Not even
Well,
adulting. I guess kids do this too, but
it kind of puts us in the now though, if you think about it, instead of us grabbing something for the future, because we're in the moment right then. So it's just kind of being now at all times if we can be in that space.
well, and I'm picking out what's resonating in that moment, just like what you're relating to is in the moment I'm picking those outfits for the next day. I'm in that energy or that vibrational frequency to match whatever it is I'm picking out. But when I go to bed, get up the next morning and start anew, now I'm not resonating with it. So this is true for I would even say just people. You're resonating with them in the moment, but you may not resonate with them later, and it's okay.
Yeah. And I do the same thing with podcasts. Sometimes I'll think I'll listen to that later or I'm gonna listen to it right now and if I don't listen to it right now, I gotta listen to it next day and I'm not even in any resonance with it. Or I'm looking for something else or I don't want to hear anything at all. So it's like I do that with a lot of things.
Well, when we are in the now, that was a mouthful to say. We it's just interesting how if you pay attention to your body and your body's just letting you know, uh this this isn't the person to be hanging out with right now, or this isn't the place to be right now, or this isn't the podcast to listen to right now. Maybe it's just being with yourself in a room by yourself. I don't want to say isolation, but to have some alone time, some quiet time. Maybe it's either that podcast may not resonate with you right now, and when you switch to a different one, that's the information you needed. Maybe you're asking some internal questions, seeking some guidance, and the next podcast is what would be those answers or that guidance or that stepping stone. And or maybe it's you just need to be in silence right now. So it's a discernment of listening to your internal guidance as to what is it I need right now.
And it's interesting. I had one of my guides yesterday, not one of my guides in the living form or in the physical form, giving me information. And one of the things was to cut out time for myself, like find a way to take time for myself in a space, make a space my own. But I really just took it as I really need to take time for myself and taking time for that meditation, and then honoring myself because I need a little bit more time maybe than someone else might need in that quiet peacefulness. Um, and recognizing, so with all that being said, it's like recognizing what you want out of your life and what you want out of your experiences and stuff. And recently I was having a conversation in my relationship, like, I would like it if we meditated together. I would like it if we did all these other things. And it's like, that's what I would like, but that's not what that person would like. So it's like, okay, so just listening, it's just, okay, then I honor myself and go do those things. And it's cutting out the time for it. It's taking the time for it. And then especially because we're approaching the holidays right now. I mean, they're fast approaching. It's really finding time to take out for yourself. And instead of maybe making all the foods, maybe have someone cater for it, or maybe so you can enjoy the people more, so you can enjoy being in the now more instead of being worried about. I remember my mom was always in the kitchen, and it's like we would always be out in the living room, or even my mom and my dad would both be in there, and we'd all be out in the living room having these conversations and stuff. And some of us would kind of creep into the I say creep, we would sneak into the kitchen because we'd get some goodies or whatever was in there. But a lot of times there was a lot of conversations and stuff that were missed out on because you're so busy focused on doing all the doing. It's back to that whole doing instead of just being in the now, which is such a learning for me because I've been reading The Power of the Now by Eckhart Tolle, and it's like it's in observing yourself, and it's not always easy. So it's like, okay, so I practice, I practice, I practice, and then I'm like, I fall back into, old patterns a little bit, and then I go back to the book again and start looking at this stuff. It's exploring all these things, all these aspects of myself. It's actually me getting to know myself better by reading some of these books, gravitating towards some of them. And also, I don't always finish a book. I get to a book to a certain point, and that's where I needed to be at that point. And then later on, I might pick up that book, and it's like it's so relevant in that moment because it's answering the questions that I had in that moment.
Yeah, I like that book, The Power of Now. Read it a while back. Oh, I think when it came out, and it was just one of those catapults of understanding how important it is to be in the now, whether it's with yourself or you're having a conversation. It's typically in conversations when somebody is saying something, we're busy thinking about what we're going to say in response to them. So we're still not really 100% listening to what they're saying. And so, and that book's by Eckhart Tolle, and then Wayne Dyer saying, you don't have to answer right away when somebody says something or asks a question. You can take a breath and just process what you want to say and then say it. So he's like, we're so quick to respond that we don't really give ourselves a moment to process what's being said to us. So those things, just those little tidbits, it's like it changes the dynamics when you're with somebody and you're listening and or having a conversation. And I find myself, because I do my best to practice that on a regular when I'm with somebody, when they're speaking to me, if I'm in the middle of something, I just tell them, give me a second so I can give you my undivided attention. Or where I do struggle with it is when we are in groups of people and there's multiple conversations going on, and it's like, well, I want to listen to that. No, I want to listen to that, right? And I'm trying to listen to all these conversations, and then I'm just like, it's not going to work. It doesn't work.
And when you practice all that stuff, you recognize how much you could be in your own pain, right? Like you could be in the past and that could be depressing or just doesn't feel good. And then you could be in the future and that creates the anxiety. So if you're, it just helps me to recognize where am I at right now? What am I thinking? So being in that awareness of that. And I learned from you, I didn't realize it was from Wayne Dyer, but you had told me a long time ago not to, just take a breath. It's okay to take a breath before you have a response. It's okay to take a breath before you have a reaction too. It's even better to
Yeah.
take that breath. But with that all being said, it's just taking the time to listen to where you're at. And when you were talking about that, what came to my mind is being the kid and your parent comes in all of a sudden and is like, what were you doing? And it's like, you have to have a response like right now, like right now. And so, I was in those moments, but it's again, that's that child coming forward and it's okay. It's okay. So I let my child know that it's okay for you to feel these ways. It's okay for you to feel like that.
Yeah.
You're safe. It's just being in a safe space, but it just really helps. It brings such a more calmness to my life.
And it's interesting because now with my job, we are in a lot of meetings. So when somebody, and it's the same, when you're in school, when the teacher calls on you, of course, everybody looks at you, right? So you're sitting in these meetings and a question is asked of you, and like all eyes are on you. And so you're in this moment of, oh shoot, I better have an answer right now. So it's similar to what you're saying with a kid. It's like, your parents upset and they come in and say that to you, and it just jolts you, and it's like interrupts your thinking. It scares you, you freeze. So I've had to learn to overcome that being in these meetings, and be comfortable with saying, I don't have that answer. I don't know. Or my boss hasn't shared that with me, so I'm not sure. Or I didn't go to that meeting, so I'm not sure what's going on. So just being comfortable with saying, I don't have that information right now. And noticing how I'm feeling when it's happening. Because in the beginning, it was very nerve-wracking for me because I'm not used to sitting in big meetings, like having, 20 pairs of eyes looking at you, needing an answer. And it's like, really noticing is that, and it's the scared little girl coming up saying, oh my gosh, we don't have the answer. What are we going to do? We're going to get in trouble. Right.
Yeah.
And just be able to take a breath and just sit back in my chair and go, I'm not sure. I'll have to get back to you on that. I've had practice with that when I'm teaching. When I'm teaching, I was more, when you're doing something you're comfortable with, you're more confident in doing it. And so if somebody said something or asked me a question, and I would just say, I'm not sure about that, but I'll find an answer. I felt very confident in saying that in that atmosphere or environment. When you're in a business meeting, which is a whole different environment, and something that you're with business people, affluent people that are on their game, and you're like, oh shit, I don't know the answer, right? Then you feel that inner child, that little girl is like scared that she doesn't have the answer. And I've learned to, just had a meeting on Friday this past week that happened. All eyes were on me and asked me a question. My boss wasn't there, so I was filling in, and they started asking me questions. I'm like, I don't go to those meetings. I'm not sure what is transpiring, type of thing. And so and noticing how much more relaxed I am in saying that. It's just like, because it's one of those things, just because I work there doesn't mean I know every little thing that's happening, because my boss goes to so many meetings and she talks to so many people. I would not, honestly, how can I keep up with her and keep up with my job? right? So so in their world, the expectation is, because I work there, I know everything going on. But in my world, when I'm sitting there like, yeah, I have piles of work to do over here, and she's over there doing her thing. Like, I don't get all the details or all the pieces because she's working on whatever it is she's working on. So so anyway, just again, noticing the body in the moment as to when you're responding to a conversation or a question. Just notice what's coming up, because really, like you pointed out, um, it's that childhood fear that's popping up that doesn't want to get in trouble for not knowing the answers.
And it's recognizing the energy too. So when we get it caught off guard in those moments, it's like you're all of a sudden you're like you blend in with their energy, and then you have that expectation from them you just placed on yourself. And that's why it's so important for us to get to know ourselves. It's so important for us to know our own energy, because hey, when a parent comes in and when they were saying something to our little kids when we were little, we would have reacted to that energy. We would have felt that energy and then felt like we had to have a match to that energy, a response to that energy. And it's recognizing even still when we have adults now or in having adult conversations and our little kid comes up, we could be reacting to those energies too, instead of standing in our power like you're doing and being like, I don't have that answer. And it's okay.
Yeah. The other thing is, when along with that, when we don't have that answer, it's a, oh, excuse me, it's a validation of the I'm not good enough story. I don't have the answer. I'm not good enough. I'm not able to participate in this conversation because I don't have that much knowledge. I'm not good enough. So we just keep validating that we're not good enough. And then, of course, that compounds, because that's what we are telling ourselves, this story we're telling ourselves. So then experience after experience after experience will show up to validate again, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. And you just keep telling that story. And then, you know, it's just having to switch the programming within yourself of, wow, I do have a lot of wisdom, I just don't have it in this area of expertise. I know a lot of things, but I don't know as much as a medical doctor. I know a lot of things, but I don't know as much as an attorney. I know a lot of things, but I don't know as much as a, right, somebody who runs a grocery store. Like, it's okay, because your knowledge, you have a lot of knowledge and wisdom in you about something, which is you're good at, but the other things you have to learn. And the way you got good at the things you're good at is because you learned them and you kept practicing them. So now when you get into a new topics, you just got to learn them, and then you get good at them, and then you're not having those conversations with yourself of not being good enough because you don't know. I don't know everything there is about government and politics and all the things. It's not ever been my jam. It's not my thing. So when people are having those conversations, I listen to learn. I don't listen because I need to pick sides. I'm listening to learn. And the way I'm going to get better is if I learn.
It's nice. And because that's you're following your passions too. If you're following your passions, we're not going to know all that stuff, but we're always open to listening. You know, you brought up the government, stuff like that. And it's like there's always the separate groups of, you know, Democrat, Republican, whatever else. But it's like I listen to people just to see where they're coming from. I don't have to have an opinion about it. I just get to listen to what do they think about that, and I process that. So it's different than I would have been in the past, because before I would have felt like I had to have an opinion about things, and I had to assert my opinion about things, and it's like it doesn't matter anymore. I was talking to someone recently about using some medications because their dog had cancer, and they had a knee jerk reaction. My daughter's a vet, and we know all about that stuff. And it's like, oh, okay. So I didn't say anything else. There was nothing else for me to say because that's not for my journey. I've already had that journey. I've already know that this medication has helped a dog not have his leg removed by doing this stuff, because it was something, a protocol that was we had heard about and we recommended and gave them the medicine, and the dog is healthy and well, you know, so it's it's okay for that to happen. It's okay. Maybe it's time for that dog to go on to bigger and better things. Maybe that dog's like, don't talk my mom out of this. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to be out of this body. I'm ready for a new journey. And so it's just knowing that things are okay. Everything's okay.
Keep talking. I'll be right back.
Keep talking. Okay. So it's just exploring the options that are out there. But I also recognize I have slammed the door on information that people have given me that could have been very beneficial for me at the time, but I wasn't in the space to receive that information. I wasn't in the space to be open to that. And that's the whole thing. That's where I've learned to be now. I'm open to receiving this information. I'm open to hearing what someone else's opinion is about something and without judgment. Because if I'm judging others, then I'm judging myself and I'm over judging myself. I'm done with that. I was listening to a thing today or it was a little message that was sent to me by one of my daughters. And it said to look in the mirror and smile. Just look at every time you catch your reflection, smile. And that's made a huge difference for myself. It's changed everything. And it's because I'm talking about not being in a space of judgment, not judging others what they're saying, and not judging ourselves for how we're showing up, just showing up. So that's what I've been doing. And it's even looking in the mirror. I totally looked totally different when I was smiling in the mirror. I looked like this grumpy old lady when I wasn't smiling. And then I looked in the mirror and smiled and I was like, I like your chin. You got a nice chin. And thanking God for thank you for the beautiful skin that I have. Thank you for the suit that I get to travel around in. I'm kind of going off in a different direction, but that's my life. It seems to gravitate towards other things, getting to know myself and then getting to know Creator too. And that's where we can loop back around to the conversation about being in quietness and stillness and finding your space. Because for me, I have a tendency to absorb a lot of people's energy. And so every time I'm leaving someone now from a massage or anything, I'm like, your energy stays with you, my energy stays with me. Even though duality on the other side of things, I know that there is no separation. But I'm not going to take your ego with me, and I'm not going to leave my ego with you.
Yeah. But yeah, no, again, that just is all in right now.
Yeah.
It's recognizing it right now. So we don't spend enough time in the now because we're so busy in our head thinking about what ifs, shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Um, like me right now, if I'm not in this conversation, I would think about all the things I got to do when we get done, and then I got to pack and right. So I have to be in this conversation. I have to be present with you in order to hear what you're saying so that we can have a conversation that makes sense. Because I could go off on some other thing or not be hearing what you're saying and chime in with something off the wall, and you'll just be like, okay, where should go with this?
Well, yeah, and I do that a lot. I mean, I have done that a lot, honestly. But it's different. And I find myself, so now that I'm being more aware, I don't typically interrupt somebody. And I have so much in the past because my little girl needed it. I've got to say it right now or I'm going to forget. And then everything's going to be lost. And it's like, that's not the way it is. But I do find myself sometimes I'll do the same thing or I'll do it with somebody when I've been doing so well. And I even had the conversation with someone recently and I'm like, I'm sorry, I really don't understand why I keep doing this, but it's because there's something going on with the other person. Like there's a learning. I'm showing up for their learning too, just as much as they're showing up for my learning. And it also let me know that, there's still a little bit of things I can look at within myself. I don't have to match somebody else's energy. I don't have to, even though I'm in their energy, because I do massage currently. And so doing that massage puts me into their energy. I'm into that space, but it's very important for me to be grounded. So with that being grounded thing, I had learned something just recently from Suzanne Giesman. It was last Saturday. She had a little thing that was free through the Shift Network or whatever. And she was focusing on the hara, which is basically two finger lengths below the belly button. And it was called, I learned it as too soon. It's TSUN below the belly button. So just putting my hand in that space because it's so important to be grounded. She was saying that with her being able to connect to spirit and everything like that, she would notice that she would get kind of, she would have these movements and stuff like that. And she says that she learned this, the spirit had drawn her to it. And by putting the hand on the stomach, actually grounded her to the earth. And she wasn't doing that. And it actually increased her connection, that she was picking up dates and other things with this knowledge. And it's like, that's something I learned about, which I never learned to use it in that aspect, but I learned about it when I was going through massage school. And I would use it in yoga. So if I was, and I wouldn't put my hand there, but I would focus my energy into that space. So if I'm doing yoga and I don't feel like I'm grounded, or if I'm doing anything and I didn't feel like I was grounded, as soon as I focus on that area, I was like a tree. I was like strong in that position. So it's very important, like these little different tools we can come up with that are so beneficial, just to put your hand on there, just to draw your attention to it, because we've gotten so focused on being grounded, of course, but being in the heart and in the crown. So you got this connection. So it was like an incomplete connection. It was incomplete. It wasn't stabilized. And so by putting my hand on the hara or in that space, it actually brought me stabilized. And it makes me think of an hourglass, but it stabilized my energy to be able to bring in more energy.
And that the grounding, being grounded is a great way to bring yourself in the present moment. So even just touching yourself, because it draws your attention to wherever you're touching yourself. So like when I'm meditating in the morning, I take my hands and I place them on my abdomen. And then as my hands typically warm up, and then I'm focused on that warmth or whatever sensation I might be feeling. Maybe they'll be cold and I tune into that. So being grounded, connecting with the earth, connecting with the heavens or God or universe, brings you in the present moment. We actually get a lot more done when we're in the present moment than when we're in our head. So I've noticed that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think we talked about it a few videos back, but it's like I have recognized how much time that I've put into being in my mind and not being present, being in my worries and my concerns. And if I'm in that space, I'm only processing old information. So it's letting go of that old information and just being now, because that old information doesn't exist right now. Those experiences that I had don't exist right now.
You would, I'm going to go back to what you said about not interrupting somebody because you have something to say. What came to me when you were saying that was we were suppressed in using our voice. And I'm speaking for you too, because I know you well enough to say this, that we were suppressed in using our voice when we were little. And now that we're adults and we've done a lot of healing through that and using our voice, that when there's a conversation and some information for me, I'll get like downloads, information just comes to me that I need to share to them, and I'm excited about sharing them. And I just want to tell them right now, because I'm so excited to be able to do that, because I can do that now. Whereas before it was you listen and you don't speak until spoken to, or you're too scared to speak. And now it's that excitement of, oh, I can tell them, because I feel confident enough or feel good enough about sharing those words. So I just wanted to hit on that because I thought that was an interesting validation of that.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I like it. I like that too. And when we're in the now, we are in the flow. And so you're not going to forget anything. Everything that needs to be said or was supposed to be said will be said.
Right.
Not according to our agenda.
Right. And it's, if we could have a conversation and start out and go in so many different directions with it, and then still come back and end up on the topic we started with. But we've just taken different paths of conversation to bring in other information and then circle back around. I think that's just one of the things as women that we're good at, just in general. We do that all the time. And I've noticed that at work, in different circles, like you just talk and the conversations goes in so many directions, and then eventually it circles back around to where it was where it began, and you just feel like, okay, I got it.
That's how I clean my house. It's so true. Because I'll start doing what it's the same thing. It's like I have maybe I'm having a conversation at the sink, and then the next thing you know, I'm having a conversation with some dust, and then the next thing you know, I'm having a conversation somewhere else, and the next thing you know, I go back to the sink, and I'm like, oh, I gotta finish this part because it's like it just happens that way for me. That's just always been it's a natural flow for me. Instead of being so rigid and having it to be that I have to get this done right here, right now, I don't operate that way. I don't operate with a script.
Yeah. Awesome. It's nice to not be in the script anymore, not be in the box anymore, to be able to have more freedom in the way that we think because we've changed our belief system. And it's so much in awareness, and the awareness is in the now. You just can't get away from it. Once you step on that journey and realize, oh, right now is what matters. This conversation is what matters, or driving my vehicle right now is what matters, right? Just now. So yeah, I would highly recommend the book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. It's very beneficial in learning to do that.
I concur.
Concur. I love that word. All right. Do you have any final words for our friends?
Take time for yourself. Get to know yourself.
In the now.
In the now.
All right, friends, we thank you for hanging out with us. We're found on many platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Spreaker, Spotify, Podcast Addict, and YouTube. And just be a resource for your friends and family, coworkers who are having these conversations, and share the information that you're learning, whether it's from us or other speakers, influencers, guides, teachers, and we're just helping each other along in this journey of life. So with that, thanks for hanging out with us. Tea Time with Amy and Bev, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.